أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is Al-Abbas Sudani and this is podcast Ummatan Wasata. We're very happy today to host one of the most important Shia academic researchers and author who teach Islamic studies in McMaster University from Canada, Dr. Lياقت. How are you, Doctor?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm doing very well, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts and ideas with you.
Honored to host you in this conference about Atba' Ahl al-Bayt.
It is my pleasure and honor to be here.
Thank you. So, Doctor, my first question, let me put it like this. You've been in UK, United Kingdom, and you've been in USA, and right now you live in Canada. You teach in Canada, your career in Canada. So, can you talk a little to me about the Shia in these three big countries, their culture, their influence on societies, and their participations and activities in these communities?
In these three countries?
In these three countries.
I went to live and study in England, United Kingdom first, in 1971. And at that time, there were just very few Shias there. Not the kind that we see now.
This in UK?
In UK, 53 years ago, 1971. There was not even proper halal meat, not even a proper masjid. We were using a Sunni masjid, we were using somebody's house. That was 53 years ago. But things have changed for various reasons because, for example, the Ugandans came in 1972, so we had to buy our own mosque. And then, of course, we have more Iranians, more Iraqis, more Lebanese, Afghan, and so on.
Let's say in 80s?
In the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
For various reasons, because of the problems in Iran, because problems in Iraq, and so on, people came from India and Pakistan for studies. So the Shia community, we're talking of England now, mainly in the kingdom, it grew rapidly. And now we have, alhamdulillah, many Shia centers, Shia ulama, and many activities by the Shia community. Mm-hmm. But things have changed a lot. And then about the United States.
So let me interrupt you. Pardon that. In UK, there are like 2,100 Shia right now. The mostly recently statistics I read 200, and it's like a 10% from Muslims in UK. Is it right?
I have not read that of 200,000. That's a lot of Shias, and I don't know if there are so many, but there are many. Yes.
So my point is this: they considered minority and very small minority comparing with the other components in UK. My point is in UK, the time you lived there, even with this minority, with this small number of Shia in UK, have they been influencer in the community of UK?
Their influence has grown tremendously. In the past 20-25 years. Initially, as I said, when I went there 53 years ago, they were not even there visibly. You could not even tell. They did not even have their own markers. But of course, as I said, due to immigration, due to the influence of the people who came there, the Marajia also helped. Not only have they built the Marakis, the centers, but they have become more active. In the media, for example.
Yeah, there is developing.
They have become more active in different fields. In politics also, they can have a voice. So people know. See, what has happened in the longest period, people thought that the only Muslims are the Sunni Muslims. Mm-hmm. They did not even know I'm talking about the local people in Britain and in the United States, they did not know what the Shias are or who the Shias are. But now things have changed a lot because of social media, because of the activities, because of, in many ways, 9/11, the events of 9/11, to some degree was positive for the Shias. Because for the longest period, especially in America, they thought that the only terrorists are Hezbollah and Iranians. That's how they call. They did not even know who the Wahhabis are. It took 9/11 for people to realize that the real terrorists are the Wahhabis. Because then they knew that all these, of the 19 hijackers, they were all from Sunnis. And I'm not saying all Sunnis are like that, but I'm saying that there was no Shia there, and that they realized that the real perpetrators were the Wahhabis.
So let me put it like this way: the scale of changing of the public mind is started 20 years ago, 20 years and a little ago.
20, 25 years ago, yes, people realized and became more aware of the presence of Islam in America and who Muslims are. The problem is this: to be very honest, I have found, having lived in America, Canada, and United Kingdom, America as people, they are good people, very nice people, but they're also ignorant. They don't know. They don't know about Islam, or they know everything negative because of the media.
Yeah,
that is why we have a role to play to inform them. Like when I started teaching in University of Denver in Colorado on 9/11, the first day of my Islam class was on 9/11. And a lot of people came up to me, Americans, says, why have they done this to us? What did we do to them? You know, they were totally ignorant of what Americans have done to others.
Yeah.
So we had to explain to them that first of all, we do not agree with killing innocent people. Because if you kill one innocent soul, كَانَ مَقَتَلَ النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا, you have killed everybody. But also we have to understand what America has done, and so on. And also we have to understand who these hijackers are. They're not all Sunnis are like that. But certainly we, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, are not part of that group. So that says
that's USA.
Been a challenge. And one of the things I think that became a positive, what we call a silver lining, in the events of 9/11, there was a need felt both by the Americans, non-Muslims, and by the Muslims to increase dialogue, to increase conversation. Before we were trying to converting them, now we're trying to converse with them. So we've moved from conversion to conversation.
Wonderful. That's
because
great.
We had to tell them who we are. We moved from being Muslims in America to becoming American Muslims.
Yeah.
In other words, now we consider, because we knew if we did not do that, then we would be strangers in our own home. Our home is America, our home is Britain.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And one of the most important points of this conference, Ummatun Wasata, is the citizenship of Shia in their countries. They belong to their countries as an original citizens in their countries.
Absolutely. Home now is no longer Pakistan or India or Karachi or Tanzania. Home is London or Toronto or Washington and so on. So how do we relate to this new home country? How do we consider what are our responsibilities towards them? How can we change their minds about us? You see? And that is a very important point. We can no longer, because for example, in Tanzania or in Pakistan or even in Iraq, we did not feel the need to reach out to non-Muslims because most of the people were Muslims. We did not have to dialogue or explain. But it's different. We're not in a minority. We are a minority within a minority.
Yeah, that's the point.
And because we are not only Muslims, we are a Shia Muslims. So we are a minority within a minority.
Yeah.
We have to dialogue not only with non-Muslims, we have to dialogue with fellow Muslims also. Because a lot of the Sunnis have very negative views about us. And again, they are ignorant. They do not know. They only know what they read from the media and from social media. And a lot of it is very negative. So we have to try and improve. So there is interfaith dialogue and intra-faith dialogue between Shias and Sunnis.
So we talked about the challenge, some of challenge, and you bring this point that the public mind in the Western world look in one way, and it's a fact because of the media, the whole public mind, and that's one of the most harmful, the most difficult challenge we have. So what are the opportunities we have right now, nowadays? I mean, with the development in the world, with the growing of the media, Shia have so many voices, loud voices to bring their ideas, to participate, to share their perspectives. What are the opportunities?
That's a very good question. It is ironic, perhaps, that we are more free in the West than in our own Muslim countries. We can talk freely, express freely, practice freely in the West than we are in most Muslim countries.
Wow.
In Malaysia, Shias are considered kafir.
Yeah.
In Saudi Arabia, we cannot practice freely. In many countries, they look after, the government is looking at you. But in America, in Britain, in Germany, in Canada, you can say what you like, you can do what you like, as long as you don't break their laws.
The general rules.
Which is necessary. I think that it is time that the Shia community, the leaders especially, got together, whether in England or in Canada or in America, and draw up a vision.
So can we reflect this question? Just give me an idea. Can we reflect the process? I mean, it's usual that Muslims spread out from the countries with Muslim majority to the countries with Muslim minority. But at this point, because Shi'at, especially Ahl al-Bayt followers at Western world have more freedom, can we reflect, I mean, growing up Shiism in Western and make it like a center to spread out, a center to share Shia ideas from the West world?
Absolutely. This is the biggest and best opportunity that we have. As I was saying, we need to establish a vision. I call it Vision 2040. We're in 2024, but we need to have a forward vision. And I'll give you 2 or 3 examples of what can be done. A lot can be done. Because as I say, we are free, completely free in the West. So how about, for example, something that I always want is a chair in the university of Imam Ali chair or Lady Fatima al-Zahra chair. Why is it so important? First of all, to establish a chair in university costs about $2 million only. But that chair is daimi, forever. I have a chaired position at McMaster, but that chair is given by the Amir of Sharjah. So a Shia is occupying a chair given by a Sunni Amir. But that's not the point. Why is it so important? Because in today's world, 90% of the youth in America, in Canada, in England go to universities. So if we can influence the youth, because that's where they come out from, correct? Education in the universities. If we can teach them about Islam, about Shia Islam in the university, the next generation that comes out of the university will know Islam in a positive way. A lot of my students, they take courses as what we call electives. In other words, their main focus is engineering, for example, or medicine.
Not core classes.
But they take extra classes in Islam because they want to know. But if we can change their mind now, 10 years, 15 years, when they come out and they will teach others, something more positive about Islam.
Speaking in academic field, can we make these courses in Islam as at least one course as a required course in the universities?
If they want to specialize or even take a major or a minor in religious studies, then yes. So there are some students in my department, I teach in this religious studies, who focus on, for example, Christianity, or their main focus is Judaism, for example. But because they are majoring in religious studies, we ask them to take a course, at least one course in Islam, to give them a very broad vision.
Yeah, knowledge and
Exactly. So that's one way. That's why I said that it is very important to do that, to establish a chair. But there are other things that can be done. We can try, for example, and have our own media. I would suggest, wallahi, I think that we should talk to our leaders. Alhamdulillah, we as a community are quite rich with all this homes money. We need to help our students, fund them, help them to go into different sectors of American or Western society.
What do you mean exactly about our students?
Okay, Shia students.
Shia students.
So we want to produce journalists who are Shias. We want to produce politicians who are Shias.
So from like Middle East or Shia countries and bring them to the Western?
Or even those who are already in the West.
That's a great idea.
Both ways, because the way to influence and change a society is not to remain isolated, it's to be part and integrate in that society.
And it's the same idea of tabligh in Al-Hawza, but this in Al-Hawza, the tabligh just for the students of Al-Hawza, Al-Hawzawiyun. But if we can make these people muballighin in academic way, this would be great.
You see, today, most of the media, who does it belong to? Not to Shias, not even to Muslims. Most of the people who are writing in newspapers or on TV or on social media are not us. I always say that if you don't talk about yourself, others will talk about you. And what others say about you will not be nice. You have to talk about yourself. You have to identify yourself. Then you can change their minds in a positive way. So in every field that we can think of, whether it is in the State Department, whether it is local politics, judges, mayors, everything, we need to be involved.
Why don't we talk about ourselves? Is it lack of courage? We don't have courage. We don't have freedom. By you demonstrate that. So why don't we talk about us loudly? I mean,
there is a reason. I understand. Most of the immigrants to America, for example, or Canada, come from Muslim countries like Iraq or Iran or there we did not have the need to, because we were living in our own society. We did not have to tell others about us because we were living within ourselves. Now we are living in minority. Now we are living under a situation whereby we are being attacked all the time.
So they need to talk.
So there is a need to know.
Yeah.
We don't have that experience yet. The early Shias who came to America in 1880s up to the 1960s, all they considered was just to build marakis because they wanted to preserve their culture. They preserve their religious values. Well, we need to go beyond just building mosque and marakis. We need to go outside the mosque now. In every field, whether it is academic, journalism, politics, anything that you can think of, we have to be there. Because we need to have our influence there. The way it works in America and even in Canada is that you have to have what we call political clout. In other words, influence in every sector. And if you don't have it, they will take over. Others will do it for you.
So in sense of spread out Shiitism in North America, let me say, I have this idea I would ask you about. Do you agree or disagree? Can we say that Shia arts like Sha'air Shi'iyya could be an important factor to develop Shia, to make Shia voices heard from others?
Absolutely. Everything that we can do must be done. Whether it is television, whether it is the media, anything. We have that opportunity. Nobody can stop you from saying anything you like in Canada. As long as you don't abuse the law, you are free. So whether it is demonstration, anything that you can think of is important.
Like Sha'air, al-Mawakib, these, you know al-Mawakib?
That's right.
So these shape of we can consider Shia arts, Mawakib and Sha'air and Majalis Husseiniya. I think it's one of the media factors, the media tools that can push Shia to be heard from others.
This is the important point. We need to go beyond the majalis. We need to go to invite others, non-Muslims,
Exactly,
to our
that's
centers.
the point. That's the point.
We need to engage in dialogue. But also, the language of dialogue is important, the language of speaking. Because how you speak, how I speak to my fellow Muslims is going to be different from how I speak to non-Muslims. What I
that's
speak
obvious.
in the masjid is different from how I speak in the university. One is preaching, one is teaching. The language is different. The audience is different. The people are different. Unfortunately, some of the ulama, they come to the university or they come to the media or on television in the West, and they think they're speaking in Lucknow or Karachi. You can't do that. Because the mentality, the expression, the method is different in the West.
Yeah, we have this quotation in Arabic, حدث العاقل بما يعقل أو بما يعقل. It means like
كلموا الناس على قدر عقولهم. That's right.
Exactly. So, in another sense, tell me about the presence of Shia politically in Canada. Is there any presence of Shia?
Very limited.
Very limited.
We have some local councillors within a particular wards from Iran, for example, or Iraq, but they are not very loud. This is why I say we have the opportunity. One of my friend's daughters, I encouraged her 30 years ago. I said, you go into journalism, because she was interested. She and maybe one or two are the only Shia journalists today. But she writes. And when she writes in the newspapers, people read. Whenever there is a problem in the Middle East, she writes. When there are issues affecting Muslims in Canada, she writes.
Yeah, and I always name the writing as the peaceful weapon. It's a weapon with peace. But affect others.
It definitely does. And that is exactly what we should be doing. The peaceful weapon, but in different forms. Today, we don't live in a world. We live in a global world.
Globalization is affected.
What I write in Canada, somebody in Australia is reading it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
What I speak here now, somebody in Timbuktu can be hearing me. Do you understand? In order we can have a very wide impact. Unfortunately, we are actually losing the battle. We're not winning it. Mm-hmm. We are losing our youth. Mm-hmm. Believe me, I've been saying this for a long time. Our youth are moving away, not coming towards our youth. We're not even talking about outsiders. Because they have nothing. I teach these youths in the universities. They come to me. So I know what they're thinking. They are intellectually engaged, intellectually engrossed in. But when they come to the member, to the mosque, the discourse, the conversation is very different. It's all like, I'm sorry to say, broken record. Same thing again and again and again, which they will not appreciate. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? The language has to change, not only outside, but even inside the mosque.
Modernization is a necessity.
Absolutely.
Now, it's a necessity
Absolutely.
For Shia. So in sense of the previous question, in sense of politics, in 3 minutes, can you define, let me say, the political actions that happen nowadays in the Middle East, in this part of world. Does this affect Shiatism? Because you know, Shia is a one factor, one element of these political changing in the area. Does that affect the Shiatism in Canada in specific, let me say?
You mean what happens here? What does it affect us there?
Exactly.
Of course it does. Of course, because we get affected by what's happening outside.
So in positive way and negatively, or?
I think we should make it positive. It's not positive at the moment.
But we should make, that's a
we
good
have
point.
to make it positive.
Yeah, that's a point.
Because, you know, as well as I do, politicians, what do the politicians want from us? They want votes. If you don't vote for them, they get out of office. Therefore, if we put pressure on them, even if we don't have our own politicians, but we speak out, we go and see our local MPs or senator or our own congressmen, say, look, what is happening in Gaza, for example, is totally wrong. What America is doing against you or Houthis or whatever, any issues, Palestine or whatever is happening, Pakistan, whatever.
So we should say that's wrong.
Absolutely.
But can Shia say that's wrong there?
Where? In America?
In America, let me say.
Absolutely.
They can.
We're free.
We
are more free than in most Muslim countries, wallahi.
I agree with this point.
We are more
100%.
free in the West than we are even in Muslim countries. Sometimes we are scared to speak here. But we don't have that. Therefore, to believe me, the future of Islam lies in the West. That's where the future lies. There are more and more people coming to America, to Canada, etc. And we have that opportunity. And I don't think we're making the most of that opportunity at the moment.
Very wonderful, very great speech.
Thank you.
Me, at the personal level, I learn a lot from this exciting points. Thank you, Dr. Lياقت, and thank you for listening and watching, and with another podcast from Ummatan Wasata. Goodbye.